I thought it was time for a quick channel update. I think for 2023, I'd like to try and create more content and be a little bit more focused on this channel. For the past couple of years, I've been all over the place, really. Even starting to talk about filmmaking and stuff. And even though I'm moving into filmmaking professionally, I've decided, oh, it's really slippery. I've decided just to focus on landscape and travel photography. I've got a cluster of trees here that are standing just a little bit forward of more trees, so they're quite distinctive, and there's 5 or 6 of them. Now, if I were just to point the camera without much thought, I'm going to end up with something like this, and nothing wrong with that, right? Well, take a look at this. I moved over about 7 feet, and I ended up with this. So when you compare the two, to me there's a big difference there. One of them, the trees are sort of in front of each other, and it's not very well thought out, whereas when I move over, I've spaced the trees out and it's just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And I talk about this a lot, and I will continue to talk about this, because for me, those little details, that little bit of thought, makes all the difference. The focus is going to be on creative vision. I'm going to be trying to do what I did with this channel when I first started. It was more about a sort of walking with my camera, going on trips, whether it's a day trip or a week-long trip to a foreign country, and doing a bit of a sort of guide and talk about what I see, how I see, what I shoot, why I'm shooting a certain way, and all creative vision stuff rather than technical stuff. So I need to get fitter though, because I'm a bit out of breath right now. It's not like me, getting old. When I started this channel, I took out a little GoPro Hero 5, I think it was, and then I upgraded to a Hero 7, and it was a love-hate relationship. And I realized a year or so ago that I didn't want to do vlogging, because my interest in filmmaking, a GoPro is so limiting, little sensor, poor dynamic range, terrible in low light because the sensor's so small. And I wanted to make more cinematic videos or films rather than vlogs. But it turns out that I don't have time to do that. So this year, starting right now, I've gone back to GoPro and back to a vlogging format for the most part. I hope to be making sort of films, really good quality films, and do a good job in production with those as well. But in general, I'm going back to a GoPro and just wandering around, taking you places and talking about what I'm seeing and how I'm shooting. I've just bought a GoPro again, a Hero 11, and this is what I'm filming on for the first time, because it shoots in 10-bit now, and I figured that might give me a little bit more flexibility in post to get better quality results, hopefully, and the stabilization's better as well, from what I can see. So back to vlogging, back to the original channel idea of traveling with my camera, going on hikes. I'm really big into the hiking thing, and documenting, vlogging my trips and sharing creative vision. So that's it. That's exciting, actually. I just brought my Nikon Z50 with me, and a little manual prime lens, which I absolutely love. And as I'm walking here, I thought, you know what? I'm going to talk about gear. Everybody's got an opinion on gear. I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth, or my threepenny halfpenny's worth. And that basically is, gear is not as important as we think it is. People put too much attention on it. I know people say, oh, it's not important until it is. That's kind of true, but in general, for most types of photography, especially if you're a beginner, or actually not even if you're a beginner, at any level, you just need any camera and any lens and you'll be able to get great photos. I really do believe that. I will stand by that statement for most situations. I was reading online, I think I'll go this way. I was reading online, somebody said, oh, a professional wouldn't use a Nikon Z50, that's a little entry-level camera. That's no good, small sensor, rubbish. Well, that's the camera I use when I travel and I shoot professionally, so I don't know what they're talking about. I really love my Nikon Z50. I've had it for 3 years when it first came out. Was it 3 years now? And it's a perfectly good camera. There's no reason to change it. I went on a 6-week trip across Spain last year, and that was the only camera I took, with a little manual focus lens as my main lens. And I photographed basically a book that I'm going to be publishing with it. So it's fine. It's a good camera. My main camera still for work, for travel, lifestyle, tourism, food, studio work, basically most of the type of photography that I do professionally. I do use a Nikon Z6. Now, I bought that camera 4 years ago. It's starting to look a bit tired now, bits are breaking off of it. I have no reason to change it for 2023. Absolutely no reason whatsoever. It's just a tool, and it does everything I need it to do. I really do believe that people spend too much time comparing camera specs, pixels and focusing ability, and all of these things that, things like focusing, sure, if you do sports photography or wildlife, you need a good, fast, autofocus system. A lot of things that people rely on, they're relying on the technology in lieu of actual skills. How about just learning some skills, people? That might sound rude, but it's true. I started shooting in film days, and the manual cameras that I was using, we only had the ability to change our shutter speed and aperture. That was it. And we figured it out. We got on with it. I'm starting to go into a rant now, so I'll shut up. Yeah, don't feel the need to upgrade your camera or buy the latest version of a lens just because that's what everybody's doing. Everybody seems to be using camera gear as fashion accessories these days and to make a statement. Look at me, look at how great I am, I've got the latest gear. I heard one guy say, you need a big professional camera if you're going to walk in to do a job somewhere like a wedding, because you need to stand out and look professional. Never heard so much nonsense in all my life. It's not the camera gear that makes you professional at all, not even remotely. The only reason why people buy expensive cameras and lenses, pro-level stuff, professionals, is because of the durability, not the quality of the image you're going to get. You're not going to get anything better over a Z6 over a Z9, for example. And I know that because I've got a Z9. And I didn't buy the Z9 for photography. I don't use it for photography, I use it for video. But as we're not talking about video on this channel so much anymore, I won't go there. But I can guarantee this old Z6 I have can get just as good an image for most situations as the Z9, the latest Z9, at 4 or 5 times the price. With the exception of fast sports and wildlife, which I don't do anyway, because that camera has a really good auto tracking, and the Z6 isn't so good. But yeah, I'm not going to rant on about that anymore. I'll shut up. I think it's time to do a spot of photography. So as I said, I've got my Z50. and a little manual focus lens, a little f1.8. I don't even know what the lens is called. It doesn't have a name. I got it on Amazon for about $70. And when I got it, there wasn't a brand name on it. It was just mirrorless camera lens, it said on it. That was on the box, that was it. So, and it was so cheap. So that's what I've got with me today, a 25mm on a crop sensor camera. So that gives me the equivalent full frame of, what's that, about 35mm, something like that. So let's go and have a little play. See how close I can go with this little lens. That's one of the things I like about them, is they're almost macro-like in their ability to position your camera so close to the subject. And when you open them right up, in this case f1.8, and some of them I've got are f1.4, they're pretty amazing. I do hope you'll let me know what you think I should be talking about in the way of photography on this channel, and I hope you'll continue watching. And for those that you have stuck with me with all my messing around in recent years, I do appreciate it. One thing I'm going to be doing this year, in addition to keeping my gear really simple, using manual focus lenses and sort of going back to how I first started taking photographs, very simple, very manual. I used to shoot on film. I used to shoot on transparency, Fuji Provia and Fuji Velvia 50 ISO. I discovered recently when I got a plug-in for my video editing that the same company, Dehancer, make a film plug-in for Photoshop that emulates old film stock like Fuji and Velvia. So they let me have a play with it, and I'm just addicted to it. It just takes me back in time. It's absolutely incredible. So like the video editing plug-in that they do, you can control halation and bloom and add film grain, as well as choose a bunch of different film stocks. So I've been pretty much everything I've been processing personally these past few weeks has been using the emulation for the Fuji Velvia 50, and I absolutely love it. I love the contrast and the saturation. So I'm going to process these images that I've taken today using that same plugin and techniques, and let me know what you think. It's not for everybody. A lot of people don't like, I've got to watch where I tread here, it's very slippery. A lot of people don't like contrasty, saturated images. I do. The main reason being is I come from the commercial world, and bright colours and contrast is always good in advertising and marketing, rather than dark, unsaturated, gloomy images, which landscape fine art photographers tend to favour. That won't be the last you hear about that on this channel. If I'm talking about anything, it's going to be because I believe in it, and I'm not trying to make a few quid out of it. So I'm going to go, and I'm walking up a steep hill on ice right now. So I'm going to go and process some images, and I'll see you next time.